Metroid Dread development began back in 2005 as a Nintendo DS sequel to Metroid Fusion. After the Prime series ended in 2007 with Corruption, and Metroid Other M released in 2010 to mixed reviews, it seems as if the franchise would lie dormant and fade into obscurity. Dread had vanished. In a portfolio made of genre-defining games, the Metroid franchise has pushed and steered its way back into relevance with the release of Metroid Dread. Does this long-awaited entry meet or surpass expectations? Does it disappoint? Or is it truly a sacred cow, free from error, immune to criticism? Thanks for tuning into DJMYkah. Like in Metroid, today we're going to backtrack to uncover new elements and features of Metroid Dread to see if the sequel is worthy of its namesake. Gameplay is king, so let's start there. Dread retains the classic gameplay formula that Metroid has been known for years now. Backtrack, find power-up, advance. And if it ain't broke, why fix it? There have only been a few games that imitated this Metroidvania formula successfully in recent years. Hollie, Batman Arkham Asylum, and Action Verge come to mind. So at least, in my opinion, this is a welcome feature to the game that created the formula to begin with. But the new feature here in this game is the extraplanetary multi-form mobile identifier, or EMMI. I call them Emmys. They are the bearers of dread in this title and add a level of fear to the gameplay. Metroid Dread's producer, Sakamoto, thought that fear-based gameplay would appeal to younger players, but he insisted that Metroid Dread isn't intended to be a horror game. I quote, "It's really about Samus encountering fear, but she actually stands against that fear and fights it and beats it. That part of it is important." Sakamoto goes on to say, "As for the inspiration that came from wanting to take the game in this direction, it comes from what I said before about the tension surrounding the SAX from Metroid Fusion and how we wanted to take that style of gameplay and put it into what is considered to be the normal Metroid gameplay to make for an exciting experience." Dread succeeds in this mission to, well, instill fear or dread in the player when in contact with these Emmys. When entering an Emmy zone, the music cuts and the entire atmosphere changes to an unsettling, creepy one. I could say that they are responsible for most of my game over screens. The fact that they are chasing and looking for you in an unfamiliar environment to you, the player, adds a level of paranoia to your typical Metroid formula. The counter ability is an option to get away, but it's pretty tricky to get the timing to get the parry. But you must face your fears, and face it you will, because you must defeat these spots to gain the abilities necessary to progress forward. They are featured just enough to not overstay their welcome, which I appreciate. Another change I've noticed is the feel of controlling Samus. Samus is very athletic in this game, a lot more physical than the previous version we've seen of her. One thing I've noticed immediately is that Samus is fast. She's definitely the fastest she's ever been. I don't even know there's a walk animation in this game. She even has a dash ability now. So she's very, very limber in Dread. I mean, she can uppercut and counter attacks. She can shoot while hanging from ledges. She can climb on walls. And her kill animations are just downright savage. Poor enemy dudes. But speaking of which, I was pleased to see a variety of enemy types in this game, especially at the end when you encounter more intelligent enemies. The bosses are phenomenal, especially when you counter the bosses. You're gifted with the eye candy of seeing Samus do what she does best, which is kill things. You know, some of the boss moments literally left me speechless. And I like how the cutscenes teach you how to beat each boss. The bosses themselves provide a good challenge. None of them feel familiar or similar to each other. All are unique. Kinda wish there was a boss rush mode, But you know, when Samus takes down these big guys, it reminds us why Samus is in fact Nintendo's coolest character. Sorry, Funky Kong. This game takes place at the end of Metroid's story timeline, so it makes sense that Samus here is at her strongest. So minor story spoilers ahead, so skip to this if you don't want to be spoiled. But speaking of story, Dread starts off with a simple, straightforward objective. Get to your ship and get off the planet. But later you learn of the main antagonist and his plans. It's a simple story that works. It ties well with the established lore and has some huge reveals along the way. I enjoyed it. I will say that the only thing that didn't live up to previous titles was the music. There's usually some Metroid themes in Super Metroid and the Prime games that left me always humming because they were so catchy. Instead of having a signature melody, the music here in Dread does match with the atmosphere of the sector you're in. It certainly works, just not as impactful as, let's say, Lower Brinstar or Metroid Prime Corruption's theme. Those tracks were just straight fire. Now, I have seen criticisms about Dread's level designs, complaints that some people have gotten lost and stuck at certain points in the game. I've also read that some journalists complain that it's too hard. I disagree with these viewpoints. Most recent games hold your hand and guide you hand and foot to each objective. Metroid as a game is really a puzzle. It's a big puzzle game. You have to keep looking until you find the missing piece. Some have been upset about missing hidden blocks in the game, but the game literally tells you at the beginning that you would come across dead ends and would need to shoot walls. It's like they never played a Metroid game before. If you're ever lost in Metroid, backtrack to the last power-up or major event and look around. Look at your map, slow down. What haven't you explored yet? What does your latest new ability allow you to do? Can you use it here? Experimenting with these abilities is what makes Metroid a joy to play. I would love to see these complainers try the Shining Spark challenges in this game. That's real difficulty for you. My hands were literally smoking trying to complete these challenges. Metroid Dread accomplished what it set out to do. That is, provide a Metroid experience that concludes the Metroid story with a little fear-based gameplay sprinkled in. Here on GameWho FM, we give products a letter grade since you humans are familiar with that concept. This game gets an easy B+. It's not an A due to there's not much new here, but what is here is a very fun, full Metroid experience, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Hopefully Metroid can keep its momentum with Metroid Prime 4. We'll see what the future holds. Thanks for tuning into GameWho FM. If you made it this far and enjoyed your time here, please consider liking this vid and of course, subscribe for more. Until next time, Yamamoto.